Welcome to my card thoughts for today. Today we're going to talk about airline status versus hotel status and just share some of my own thoughts about it, because I've struggled with which, if I had to choose one or the other, which is more important. And indeed, there's a lot of opinions, and I think it kind of depends on your personal situation. So stay tuned. Also hit that like and subscribe button, trying to grow the channel. I appreciate it. Okay, when it comes to looking at hotel status and airline status and comparing the two, it seems like pretty much the consensus on the YouTube community and revolving around credit cards and points and miles and rewards is that hotel status is greatly superior. In fact, the hotel credit cards get a whole lot of love, and a lot of folks, even big names in this sphere, really don't like airline cards at all in any way. And when you look at it, I kind of get it, depending on a person's travel velocity and their travel habits. And when it comes to which one is better, I think that's really where it kind of boils down to. First of all, how do you travel? Where do you travel? How often do you travel? And what do you spend every year on that travel? And then just examining, do I have a use case for this airline status? Now, when it comes to airline cards and airline rewards programs, I think everybody would agree that it's harder, much harder, to achieve airline status than it is hotel status. In fact, some hotel status, some pretty high-level hotel status, you can get by just having a credit card. Now, they're usually high annual fee credit cards, but some of them give you back so much value. In fact, I can think of 3 right off the top of my head that you get more than your annual fee if you utilize the credits and all of that they give, and the free night awards, things like the Hilton Aspire, the Marriott Brilliant card by American Express, and the Ritz card by Chase for Marriott properties. And all of those have a high annual fee, but they give so many credits and free night certificates that it's kind of washed out, and you actually end up with net positive. So yeah, I mean, it's really easy to get high level status with hotels. Airlines are very different. The only hack I know where you can get a meaningful status with any airline cards is, well, when we talk about domestic airlines, the big ones, American, Delta, United, the only ones is you can have multiple high annual fee cards with Delta. If you have Delta cards, if you have 2 of either the Delta Reserve or the Platinum or Business Delta or Business Platinum, if you have 2 of those cards in any combination, you're going to get silver status automatically. And if you have all 4 of them, now that'd be $2,000 in annual fees, but if you have all 4 of them, you're going to get gold status, which is a meaningful, significant status with Delta. So it can be done with airlines, but it is harder and it costs significantly more. So why would anybody want airline status? Well, for me, it was easy to get the Hilton Aspire. I have that, and we like staying at Hilton's, and I love their free night certificate, so I just have that automatically. I have their top level diamond status. Somebody could also do that with Marriott and get the Brilliant card and get their Platinum, which isn't their top level, but it's still very, very good. But when it comes to airlines, I mean, I think that the consensus online is that for most people, yeah, airline status is not really something they should achieve, because you got to kind of fly 6, 8, 10 times a year minimum domestically. And that's the big caveat too, because the status doesn't really get you upgrades and things when you're flying overseas. It does give you some benefits, but not the same as it does domestically. But for people like myself who fly more than 8, 10 times a year domestically for work travel and for others, and that's if you have the kind of work that you just turn in receipts and get reimbursed and things like that, I find the airline status to be a lot more valuable, because harder to achieve. Therefore, the perks to me are they're just more meaningful. There is a big difference when you're well over 6 feet tall, like myself, in sitting up front versus sitting back in economy. It is a big difference. I mean, the amenities, the things that you're offered, the seat, your level of comfort, your ability to work on the plane. It's just like night and day. But when I've stayed at nice hotels, getting the upgraded room even to a suite, that's nice. And if I had a bunch of kids that were traveling with us, it would be exponentially more meaningful. But it's generally just myself and my wife that are traveling. And so, yeah, that's nice to have that suite, but does it substantially change the quality of our trip to have a suite versus a, lower level room in a Waldorf Astoria, or, if you were in Marriott or Ritz-Carlton or Conrad or any of those kind of hotels? Well, even their base rooms are pretty nice rooms, and if you're on vacation, we don't spend a lot of time in our room. I mean, we sleep there and we might come back a little early sometimes or get up late, but basically it's a place to sleep, at least for me. So I guess it just comes down to a person's situation. But I think that airline status is extremely valuable for people in that scenario, where if you're flying 8, 10 plus times per year domestically, and you value those upgrades because those upgrades are great, then having status, even at the lowest tier, like gold on American or silver on United or silver on Delta, those are pretty valuable. I mean, you get free bags. We don't ever check bags, so that one's meaningless to us, but you get free bags and all of that. But you also get higher boarding status, and sometimes you get upgrades, and you often get to sit in the better economy seats, which is a lot better if you're a big person. So that's all good. But then if you can hit that mid-tier status, and what that means is, like with American Platinum status, with United, and with Delta Gold status, that's the second one up, man, it just changes the flying experience, because especially if you're not out of a major hub, which I'm not, I've had status, not the highest status on every single one, but I've had the highest on American, and I've had platinum on both United and on Delta, and I get upgraded probably minimum 50% of the time to first class out of my local airport. So 50% of the time. And when I'm not upgraded, I'm sitting in at least Comfort Plus on Delta, or the main cabin extra on American, or whatever. And that just makes the flying experience so much better. So which is better, hotel status or airline status? Well, to me, they are just apples and oranges. They're just different than one another. And it just depends on a person's individual situation, how they fly, how much they fly, whether they're flying just internationally or taking domestic flights. And that is just all dependent, and everybody's got to make that determination for themselves. I will say, when it comes to the cards, some of the airline cards are amazing if you're going to use the benefits and if you do value status. And I think that's the real kicker on those. If you don't, and you're just going to fly that airline once or twice, then it might be worth it to have the low dollar card, like the United Explorer or the Delta Gold or something like that. But if you value some level of status, wow, having the more expensive cards can make a tremendous difference, especially if you've got significant spend you could put on there. And I know people talk about how the earnings on airline cards are terrible, and they're right. They're not good. Like, for instance, on a Delta card, Delta Sky Miles are worth like very, very little. But you've got to factor in, if you're trying to chase status, how many of the points you receive for your spend towards your status. Because to me, that has real value. Now, for some people, that is a meaningless metric. It has no value. But if you're chasing status, those cards suddenly become a lot better. Because how much is it worth to hit that status? Well, you've got to factor that in to what your earnings are on that card. So like on an American card, if you earn 1 point, and American miles are worth pretty good, but you earn 1 point and then you earn 1 loyalty point, well, that's worth more than 1 point, because now, not for a person without the ambition to get status, but if you do, that spending suddenly at least doubled in value. So take this for what it's worth. I'd love to hear your comments, what you think about them down below, and what your travel habits are. As I said, this will not apply to you. I mean, hotel's better if you don't fly domestically quite a bit. But if you do, I'd especially like to hear from other folks in that situation that really find value in the airline statuses. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and we'll see you here next time.